Hey, good morning and welcome to Daf Yevamos, Daf Dalid number 4. We have an extraordinary share for you today. We do adjective every day. How good the share is. We're going to be talking about today about the concept of essay do chalosa, say famous concept in Shas. That if you have a mitzvah essay mitzvah, a positive mitzvah, and you have a negative mitzvah, you're allowed to do the positive mitzvah even though you violate the negative mitzvah. The Gemara is going to bring some koros, beginning of a couple dapim. We're going to talk about this, and it's not really clear that the Ben Sion portion is going to be talking about concept. Basically, the first makor, the first source for Esei Do Chalosas has to do with the concept of smuchim. Smuchim means that because two psukim are juxtaposed right next to each other, so therefore we can assume that what applies, even though the pasuk is talking about one thing, it's able to be overridden by something else, and that would be the source for Esei Do Chalosas. Say there's two different ways of looking at smuchim, possibly based on two different tanaim. David. David left. Okay. You're gonna learn Yevamos with me? Essay do chalosa. Say. Sit down. Essay do chalosa. Say. My friend David came. Say shalom, David.
Shalom.
Shalom, David. David is making sure that the sun doesn't get in his eyes today, right? It's very sunny outside.
He doesn't understand English, so
Shemesh lo titavo la'inayim shalcha.
yeah, okay.
יש הרבה shemesh בחוץ. It's raining outside. It's pouring. There's no sun outside. All right, David, we love you.
Yes.
David didn't come to my siyum. You know that?
Okay.
You're one of my biggest fans. You didn't come to my siyum. All right, he's coming. Siyum, yeah. Taylor Moed and my kiddush. All right. Mitzvah, David. David is one of the members of the Knesset. His relative Lorenz was one of the Knesset members. He has it in his blood. All right. We're at the bottom of Gilmon Beis over here. We're going to start. The Gemara says at 5 lines from the bottom. Time of the cause of Rachmana Aleha. The reason we learned yesterday is there Shav Aleha even though the mitzvah of Yibum, right? In Makom there's kares. We don't allow you to do Yibum. And there's a Torah, there's no mitzvah of Yibum. If we didn't have the pasuk, I would say that in a case of kares, we would have a case of Yibum. There'd be a mitzvah of Yibum, even though the los say which carries a kares. My time, the logical explanation is because the mitzvah of Yibum was an essay pushed away the los say of an erva. And with los say great. The only one that's a regular los say yishba kares, but rayos have all of them at least bear a kares. Vidachi. Now this is a question the Gemara asked, and really, we should have asked it yesterday. Meaning, why is it bring a pasuk? We know there's a klal. This is really the Gemara's question. The Gemara is not going to resolve this question now. It's going to wait a couple of dafim to resolve this question. But the Gemara, before answering this question, goes on to another, more fundamental question. Visu, now that we mentioned it, Los I say great. I mean, all the dachi. How do you know as a concept to begin with that essay is dochalosa, even when there's no kares? So the Gemara says on top of Dalet and Aleph, Dichsiv l'silva shatnez gidim tasalach. It says in Dvarim, it says you shouldn't wear shatnez, and the pasuk the next pasuk says gidim tasalach, you should wear tzitzis. Amar Blas or Smuchim Tarminayin. How do you know that it's important, it's significant? The Torah juxtaposes, puts two psukim next to each other. We can darshan one thing from the next. Shenever Smuchim La'ada Olam Asuyim Smuchim juxtaposed psukim remain forever. Be'emes uviyashar. This is going to be important to the Yom Metziyam. Be'emes uviyashar, with truth and with fairness. It sounds like it's very strict. This concept of Smuchim. Amar Sheish Amar Lazar B'Shum Lazar Ben Azariah Minayin Yevamos Nafle Mukashchid. How do you know? We're going to prove that there's a concept of smuchim. A Yevama, right? Your brother's wife dies, right? And the brother, who's still alive, he's a mukashchin, right? He has a lot of pimples, right? He forgot to use Neutrogena, and he has acne all over his face. It's kind of disgusting. He doesn't like it. She doesn't want to marry him. She has the right to refuse it, even though Yibam, it's about korcha. She has the right, if he's a mukashchin, she can refuse it. When your ox is plowing the field, right, you can't muzzle it. You can't muzzle it. You have to let it eat. It was something like Yishu Achim Yachtov. And then the next parsha talks about, after Lo Sachs and Shabbat it talks about the parsha of Yibum, when your brothers live together in the same world. That's when Yibum applies. Fine. So then you see the pasuk. We learn from that Smuchim, the concept that you don't force the Yevama to marry a Mukashkin. Even the opinion, we're going to see it's Rabbi Yehuda who holds in Kol Torah Kula, the first four svarim of the Torah, right? Bereshis, Shmos, Vayikra, Midbar. We don't darshan Smuchim. Mishnah Torah and Dvarim, Darish. Rabbi Yehuda, Amal Darish. Of Mishnah Torah, Darish. Yehuda is that example. He says he's not Darish Smuchim in the rest. He doesn't consider it significant that Psukim are next to each other. Mishnah Torah is Darish. Darish. How do you know in the first four Svarim he's not Darish? Sani ben Azai Omer. And Azai has the V'namar Mechashefa Lo Sechaya. This is talking about, I think, in Sefer Shmos. Mechashefa is a sorceress. Shouldn't live, you kill her. V'namar Kol Shochim Hem Mos Yumas. The pasuk next to it says that if you have relations with an animal, you die, you get skila. Samku inyan lo, ma shochim behema beskila. Just like the punishment of someone who lives with an animal is skila. Apachasheva beskila. So the sorcerers also get skila. Otherwise, we won't have known what the punishment for a sorceress is. I don't know. Yehuda said back to Ben Azai, samku inyan lo, no skila. Who cares? The fact they're next to each other, it's not proof enough to tell me this one she gets skila. And so where do you know that she gets skila from? Ovi Yadoni, Milcham Chashim Hayu. Ovi Yadoni. This is in Parshas Kedoshim. Ovi Yadoni are types of sorcery. Velama Yatsu. Why does the Torah mention these specific types in Parshas the end of Parshas Kedoshim? The only reason I know that is because it's my bar mitzvah parsha. Do you know when my bar mitzvah was? How many years ago was my bar mitzvah?
כמה שנים?
כמה שנים? לפני כמה שנים?
17?
17. I mean, I'd be 30 years old.
Yes?
30 years old. No, you're wrong. It was only 15 years ago. I'm 28. I'm joking.
I'm sorry.
I'm joking.
No, because you are a rabbi. I thought.
I'm
30
joking.
minimum.
I'm joking with you. I am turning 40 years old. Arba'im.
Yeah.
I'm turning 40 years old in a month and a half. Believe it or not. You're gonna make a party for me? It's gonna be a big happy birthday. 40 years old.
And you're starting to teach us Kabbalah.
Yes, I'm gonna learn Kabbalah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a new shir with Kabbalah.
In the nights, בחצות, לילה.
I'm gonna be sleeping at Chatzos, but I'll put it out. I'll schedule the shir to go public at Chatzos, so you can watch it at Chatzos, and we're gonna discuss what sefer should we learn about Kabbalah. What do you think?
What?
What Kabbalah sefer should we learn? What Kabbalah sefer? Anyone have any ideas? Zohar?
Yeah.
Zohar.
No, you need to start something else. Kitvei Hari. Before.
Kitvei Hari. I don't know something about
Before
Kabbalah.
the Zohar, it start Kitvei Hari, something. Nefesh HaChaim, Sha'ar Aleph.
How many days should you fast before you start learning? How many days should you fast?
I didn't start.
No, I'm asking. Before I start learning Kabbalah, how many days should I fast? I have to do a tinus.
Nothing.
No fasting?
You need to eat.
eat,
In this, בדור שלנו, לאכול.
But not food that tastes good, right?
No, yes, very good.
It has to taste tasty
After
food.
you will learn Kabbalah, then you will think about
then I start fasting?
Fasting, yes.
I want to get to the fasting already. How quickly can I start fasting?
Learn fast and then fast.
Learn fast and then fast. We're going to learn Kid very fast. We're going to learn a whole sefer every night.
Bezrat Hashem.
Bezrat Hashem. All right. I'm turning 40. Really, Bina, right? Bina. You get Bina.
Bina, yeah.
I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be giving a shir in Imre Bina to Yeshiva because it ain't Bina, so I figured maybe also Darthe Bina give a shir to girls. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
All right. It says, where are you going, David?
I need to go to
You're leaving?
Children.
All right, bye, David.
Thank you very much, Zachiti. Schus.
Watch out for the sun, David. Make sure the sun doesn't get you. Those ultraviolet rays, they're tough. All right. So, thank you, David. It's always a pleasure to sit next to a family of one of the members of the Knesset. He was his family. If you don't know this about David, he's related, or Shlomo Lorenz was someone in the Knesset, right?
Yeah.
How was he related to you?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, let's go on to the Gemara. David is an Anav. He doesn't want to mention his yichus. All right. So the Gemara says, Mishnah Torah Minal the Darish. How do you know? So he says, Ma ovi yadoni b'skila, makasheva b'skila. Just like it specifies a type of makasheva, so therefore we learn that the Torah intended to tell you that all sorcerers or sorceresses, they all have a punishment of skila. Mishnah Torah Minal the Darish. How do you know Rabbi Yehuda is doresh smuchin in dvarim? Does not no say adam anusas avim mufutas avim. Anusas beno mufutas beno. Normally you're not allowed to marry your father's wife or your son's wife, but if there was rape, meaning your father raped a woman or your son raped a woman, you're allowed to marry those people. You don't remember anusas avim mufutas avim. Rehuda oster anusas avim mufutas avim. He says by your son, yes, but if your father raped someone or seduced someone, so then you're not allowed to marry them. I'm Rav Gidal Marav. My time with Rehuda. Where does Rehuda know this from? The Torah says you can't marry your father's wife. Now, even if she's not your mother, you can't marry your father's wife. What is this extra pasuk? You shouldn't uncover the undergarments that your father saw. He saw the undergarments of another woman. You can't be together with that woman. This is heading that's talking about Anusa, someone whose father raped. May I love the Krah because of the previous psukim. In Parashat Kisei, before that, it's talking about the parsha of Ones. If you're ma'anis a woman, you have to give the father 50 silver coins. And therefore it says that afterward, call up psukim later, it says so the mysterious pasuk is to tell you that we're talking about Nusas Aviv. Rabbanan. What do the Rabbanan do? The Rabbanan, what do they do? Meaning, where do they learn that Anus Aviv? Why don't they learn that Anus Aviv is Asura? The more you have a samichle, if it was really right next to each other, it would be like Rehuda said, Ashdelo samichle. It says, this is important, this parenthesis for the Yom Ben Sion. It says, Ashes of in time, there's a hefsek. It's not exactly juxtaposed, written right next to each other. But Shemeres Yavam Akas Madaber, of course, to say, Ligala Knafav is talking about your Shemeres Yavam, meaning your father has a brother, right? And his brother died without any children. So now she's Almedes Liyibam. So therefore, if you are together with that woman, Shemeres Yavam, that's the Ligala Knafav. You can't be together with that woman. Right now, this woman, she's already asura because she's your aunt. She's your father's brother's wife. No, I got a big cup, 12 ounce. The Yigala Knaf Aviv is talking about Shomeres Yavam. Shomeres Yavam is also your aunt, but the Torah sometimes says the second time in order to tell you there's two prohibitions. It's doubly asur. Mishnah Torah, my time is the Dorish. So if he's not Dorish and Kol Torah Kula, so why in Mishnah Torah is he Dorish? Mishum the Muchach, Mishum the Muftim. This is important. Rabbi Yehuda is saying because every time that we're Dorish Smuchim in Mishnah Torah, there's two. It's either because it's Muchach, it's proven, there's a reason, there's a logical reason to say that we Dorish it, or because there's an extra pasuk which is superfluous, so therefore we're forced to darshan something. If it was talking about Shemeres Yavam, it should have said it by Arayas. That's your uncle, your uncle's wife, your aunt. Should have said by Arayas. Alternatively, say it's a superfluous pasuk. Why does it have to say if it's really the same thing as your father's wife? If we would say any type of your father's wife. The fact that it mentions another case, a specific case, and it mentions it a little differently, lamali, why does it say that? It's really superfluous. Therefore, it's extraneous, it's superfluous, so therefore we darshan it. So if Rabbi Yehuda necessitates every time the darshan smucha in Mishnah Torah, it either needs to be logical to darshan it, or it has to be superfluous. Where does he see that? These reasons apply by Sitzes also. Top of Dalman Beis, the Imkin Lichtavei Rachmana Gabe Parsha Sitzes. It should have said there's a Parsha Bamidbar, right? He's saying Kriya Shema Parsha Sitzes. Lamai Hilchsa Kasvei Haka. Why does it say over here? By intended Sefer Devarim. So therefore, it's logical to assume the Torah wanted to say it to tell you something significant, to tell you that even when you're wearing A linen blanket, you could put woolen tzitzis on it. You could be over on shatnez. If you buy zema, mishum the mufne. Alternatively, you could say it's because it's extraneous. Michti ksiv beged kilayim shatnez layala alach. It says in Parshas Kedoshim again. You shouldn't kilayim. You shouldn't put on you. Let's say a blanket. You shouldn't cover yourself with a shatnez blanket. Lo silba shatnez lamali. Why does it say you shouldn't wear shatnez? It's really the same thing. Wearing shatnez is also called putting it on you. You're dressing in it, you're putting it on yourself. Therefore, it's an extra pasuk in Devarim, so therefore it's extraneous, so therefore it's significant to darshan. The Gemara rejects this. But it's not superfluous. You need both psukim. If we just said the pasuk, don't put on a blanket of shatnez, how I mean, I would have said any type of putting on yourself is asur. Even people that just put on shatnez begadim to show how they look. They're models. They put it on to show everyone how it looks. They're not wearing it for the actual wearing, for the hana of wearing it. You might say it's asur. And we know from other Gemaras, famous Gemaras, they're allowed to sell normally, and as long as not a mechavein to get hana from the shemesh or from the geshamim. The Gemara says, shatnez. That's why the Torah got out of its way to say lo silbash, wearing. Dumi the levisha the ismei hana. It has to be wearing. Wearing is something where you get hana from it. So therefore, if you're mocher ksus, if you're just a model, it's not asur. Because rachmana lo silbash, if it was just lo silbash, the only have a davka levisha the nafashani yasa. I would think only levisha where you get a lot of hana. Allah, I never conclude that by using it as a blanket you would be violating shatnez. Because rachmana lo yala alecha. So like Gemara says, it goes back. So we're trying to backtrack. Why would Rabbi really know it from? What's the extraneous pasuk? It says, why does it say Semero Pishtim Lamoli? Michti Kasav Beged Kilayim Shatnez Lo Yalalach. It says in Parshas Kedoshim, right? Yalalach. Tan Ver Yishmael Howel V'Nemru B'Torah Stam Begodim. It says that the Torah a lot of times says the word beged, clothing, right? By Tzaras, it says Samar Pishim. It says what are those begodim made of? Normal begodim, if they're in general, the Torah is referring to, we're talking about woolen garments or linen garments. Those are what's called beged begodim. Afkol Samar Pishim. Anytime it says the word beged in the Torah, Hanan B'Yer Yishmael teaches you it must be either wool or linen. Samar Pishim Gaz Rachman Alamali. Why does it say over here Samar Pishtim? It's an extra pasuk. Shmamina left nuyis. So therefore, the word Samero Pishtim show you there's extra over here, and therefore there are shmukim here in Devarim. Akati Itzarich. Where it says no, you still need. It's not like hala yid lo nafish hana asa. Hala when you wear as a blanket, you wear shan as a blanket, you don't get so much hana. But if you the nafish hana asa, you get really hana. It's really keeping you warm. Kol trei mini asa rachmana. Any two types of materials, even if it's polyester, even if it's silk. Kasav Rachmana Samero Pishtim. Therefore, it says Samero Pishtim. So you see that the reason that it says Samero Pishtim is actually needed. It's not extraneous to tell me that Samero Pishtim is asar, even when it's not, even when you're wearing them. It has to only be Samero Pishtim. Imkin Lishta Kram Minnesh. The Gemara goes back. No, Torah didn't need to say Samero Pishtim. V'seisi shatnez ma'ala, I would have learned Samero Pishtim just from the Gzer show of shatnez. It says the word shatnez in both places. Time fine. So the Gemara seems to have a proof. Time the Rishmal, time with the Kaz Rachmana Samero Pishtim, halav haki kilayim says havamina the Asar Rachmana. Because it's extraneous, right? It says Samero Pishtim. So therefore, I would learn like Rabbi Yehuda that there's a basis to darshan smuchim over here. If not, I would have said that. You're not allowed to wear kilayim. You're not allowed to wear kilayim. You're not allowed to wear woolen tzitzis on a linen beged. Having the asr rachmana aksiv. How could that be? Also, hem tzitzis al kanfei bigdayim. It says you should make tzitzis al kanfei bigdayim. It's not in Rishmal. Kol begadim samero pishtimim. Yeah, it says the word beged. It means like we learned from Mitzora samero pishtim. Am rachmana avilei tcheles. It says put tcheles. Tcheles imrohu tcheles. It means that the dye is blue, but it also means tcheles is a wool. Amra is wool. So you see that we're talking about or a wool bag or a linen bag, and it says even by a linen bag you should put woolen tzitzis. So you see clearly in the Torah without this pasuk that there's a mitzvah essays dochalosa say. The Gemara tries to figure this out. A side point for a second. Hanil tcheles is wool. But the sheish kitna when it talks about the bidei kohanim it says sheish and semer, right? So sheish is talking about is talking about flax, which is pishtan, which is linen. Tchelas imruhu. So therefore, it says tchelas. We know the two main components of begadim that are made comfortable and long-lasting begadim, warm, comfortable, long-lasting begadim. The two primary ingredients for that are natural ingredients, are linen and wool. So therefore, we know sheish is the other thing in the Torah. So that when that big day kahuna, that's considered pishtan. Tchelas is imruhu. So the Gemara says, no, Istarech, I still would have needed what this teaching to tell me that you could wear shanas by sisters. I mean, the Rava, I would have said like Rava. The Rava, Rami Ksiv, Rava had a problem. Stup sukkim, haknaf, mina knaf. It says the word haknaf, but in Parsha of Tzitzis, with an extra hay. What does that teach you? It teaches you that the Tzitzis should be the same thing as the beged. We see with Semer Pishtim. But then it says that you could wear Semer Pishtim. Meaning you can wear your strings, your fringes could either be wool or linen. Hakes, semero pishtim, poshim aminam, and shalom aminam. Strings of semero pishtim, fringes, the semero pishtim act as good tzitzis, whether you're wearing linen, whether you could have a linen beged, you could have wool tzitzis, wool beged, linen tzitzis, or anything else. You could have a mesh or a silk beged or a polyester beged. And samaro pishtim, as long as the strings are made out of samaro pishtim, would be good. Shar minin, but if let's say the beged is made out of polyester, aminan potrin, shlav minan and potrin, then you have to make the tzitzis out of polyester. You can't make the tzitzis out of wool or linen. By the time the Rishmel, so you see that's what the Gemara says. I would have felt like Rava. That's why you need Semero Pishtim to tell me that Semero Pishtim is he doesn't have to be not like Rava. It doesn't have to be exactly b'minan. It could be even shelo b'minan. V'atan Rabbi Yishmael leisei the Rava, but the Gemara says Rabbi Yishmael doesn't hold the Rava because Tan Rabbi Yishmael said Semero Pishtim. He said already, we learned that anytime it says in the word Torah beged, it means samaro pishtim. So he learned samaro pishtim. It always has to be samaro pishtim. There's no concept of using sharminin. You can't use sharminin. Rava is talking about maybe you can make polyester tzitzis, and polyester beged. But according to Tanya Yishmael, there's no havamina to think that, because beged always means samaro pishtim. There's no havamina you can use anything else but samaro pishtim for the beged or for the fringes. So the Gemara says, it's the Chsalkedai da Chamina Kidiyuka the Rava. Haknaf min knaf, right? Even Rabbi Shmuel, we moda to the diuk, the inference of Rava. Is haknaf min knaf. Hakim Rachmana Avidle Samer le Samer Pishtim le Pishtim. When you have a beged of Samer, make wool begadim. When you have a linen beged, make wool tzitzis. Make wool tzitzis. When you have a wool beged, make wool tzitzis. V'kavad Samer le Samer. Save, and what does it mean? Tcheles. Tcheles normally means wool, but here it's telling me an additional thing. You have to color it blue. Aval semer lepishtim, dye it with the blood of the snail. Aval semer lepishtim, pishtim lesemer lo. But I would think that if you have a woolen beged, you can't make strings of pishtan. If you have pishtan beged, you can't make strings of semer. Chazar chmana semer lepishtim. If you semer lepishtim lesemer. Therefore, it says, and Mishmuel holds semer lepishtim to tell you that even if your beged is made of wool, you can use linen fringes. If the beged is made of linen, you can use wool fringes. And obviously, if you use semer and pishtim together, that is shatnez. So you see, shatnez is mutter. Now, obviously, it's a double proof really according to Shmuel, because what is he learning out as a dochalosa say from? This is according to Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rabbi Yehuda is learning it out. The Mishnah Torah, he's not dorish smuchim, right? He doesn't darshan smuchim. B'chol Torah Kul is not darshan smuchim. Mishnah Torah is darshan smuchim because it's mukach or mufna. Now, this whole Gemara is talking about it's mufna, right? Samar Pishtim is mufna. So therefore, once we know that it's mufna, Samar Pishtim, so that's good enough. Then we go back to the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Lo silva shatan is gdilim tasalach." So therefore, we darish smuchim because what's superfluous, it's extra. So you're able to darshan smuchim. But here, this drasha is more direct. The Gemara says, Samar Pishtim, it's not just that it's extra. Samar Pishtim tells me that for a beged of Samar, you can use Pishtim, strings of Pishtim. For a beged of Pishtim, you can use strings of Samar. So you don't even need the Smuchim anymore. So what's going on at the end of the Gemara? If you're curious to figure out what is going on over here. And furthermore, I'll just buffer this with one more question over here. The article brings over here in footnote number 30, the Rishonim wonder about the Gemara's conclusion that it's permissible to use linen tzitzis on a woolen garment. How could that be? How could you use linen tzitzis on a woolen garment? Rash Lakish teaches below, I'm reading footnote number 30, 20b, that a positive command overrides a prohibition only when it's impossible for both of them. According to the understandable that woolen tzitzis may be used on a linen garment, but there's no other way to fulfill the requirement of tchelis in this garment. Right? Tchelis has to be two things. It has to be wool, like Imra, like the Gemara says, and it has to be colored blue. But if you have a beged which is made out of semer, of wool, most people here, most people wear a beged of semer over here. They wear woolen tzitzis over here. That's the common practice. I'm not crazy people to wear woolen tzitzis. The Mishnah Berurah says it's d'oraisa to wear woolen tzitzis. So why do you have to put on linen tzitzis? It's not right. Normally, there's a concept, the chuy of a hutra. I'm going to get more into this, but the chuy means if it's possible not to violate, I shouldn't be docha the losa say. I say docha losa say. So why, if I have a woolen beged, I have to put on woolen tzitzis? Why am I allowed to put on linen tzitzis? That could be. Why is that? And that'll be discussed in the event. Stay tuned. It's coming up right now.